Hi folks, welcome back to the Alan Parks Project. I am Alan Parks. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 great tuba-centric albums that are not classical but are available on Spotify. You can find all of these on Spotify. So, pull it out and get some streaming going, get some tuba goodness. Um, I'm not going to play big excerpts from any of these tracks just to avoid any copyright problems with YouTube because they can be kind of cranky about that sort of stuff. I understand they're trying to protect the artists, but it can be kind of irritating sometimes. But there it is. So I would like to start with, in no particular order, Howard Johnson, Gravity. Howard Johnson made 3 albums with Gravity. It's the other one's called Right Now, and the other one is called Testimony. Right Now features a couple of tracks with Taj Mahal. It's pretty amazing stuff. It's really good, and more about Taj Mahal in a little while. Anyway, so Gravity is an ensemble of tubas, pretty much all contrabass tubas. I think there's a couple of euphoniums show up here and there, but these are all contrabass tuba players. You got Howard Johnson, Dave Bargeron, more about him later, Tom Malone, Nedra Stewart, Bob Stewart, Nedra Johnson, Bob Stewart, Earl McIntyre, Joe Daly, Carl Kleinstuber, Marcus Rojas, and Paul Schaefer shows up on a couple tracks playing piano. That's because Howard played in the original Saturday Night Live band. He played tuba and he played bari sax. And a lot of people don't know he also played penny whistle because it's easier to carry. He does play penny whistle on a couple of the tracks here. He does it in sort of a kind of a neat, smooth jazz setting. It really works out well. It's pretty good. So Howard had put this group together for a Taj Mahal tour, I believe in the late 60s. He put the group together in something like 1968. And he himself had played for artists such as Charles Mingus, Gil Evans, Gary Burton, Pharoah Sanders, and John Lennon. So he'd been around quite a lot. Very good jazz tuba player. And this album is very good jazz tuba. And this isn't one of those albums that you listen to and you say, oh yeah, that's really good jazz playing for tubas. No, it's really good jazz playing, period. I'll stop. There's a rhythm section of piano, bass, and drums. They're exemplary, very fine rhythm section. And there's great solos. There's amazing ensemble work. There's a couple of muted tuba solos, which you don't hear very often. Sounds very odd. And there's a multiphonics cadenza at the end of Kelly Blue, the track Kelly Blue. It's really an amazing album. I highly recommend it. And I recommend the other ones too, but this one's my favorite of the 3 Howard Johnson albums. Next album I'd like to talk to you about is John Sass, Sassified. John Sass is a guy from Brooklyn, apparently, moved to Germany, so probably so he can make a living playing tuba. And this album, as far as I can tell, is entirely him and just tuba. He uses a lot of multiphonic kind of things, beatboxing techniques. I believe he does some buzzing on the mouthpiece only, and some vocalizations. And the vocalization stuff, the vocals he does, almost always a very positive kind of a message. It's very uplifting to listen to and very inspirational as well. It's quite an album. It's very eye-opening as what you could do with a tuba, and he definitely shows a lot of like soul and R&B roots in his music. As a matter of fact, there's a new album out that I only just discovered researching this video called John Sass's Soluba Band. You might want to check that out. That's also on Spotify. Now, John Sass is a member of Heavy Tuba, which I'll get to. And the Sassified album is quite good. And as a matter of fact, if you want to know how he plays some of these things and some tutorials on some of the beatboxing kind of techniques, there's an accompanying book. You can order the book. I'll leave a link in the description down below. I've got it, and it runs you through how to do all of the little articulations and such. So It's pretty interesting. Nice package that goes really well together. He's got examples from his bass lines and such. So, great album. I highly recommend it. So, moving on from John Sass to Heavy Tuba. Heavy Tuba is a German ensemble comprised of four trombone players that also play euphonium or vice versa, and four tubas, of which John Sass is often one of, and then basically a rock band. So guitar, bass, drums, keyboards. They may have an auxiliary percussionist as well, I'm not sure. And all of it's held together actually with a conductor, because that's a big band. So they've got a few albums out. There's Sagenhoft, Pictures at an Exhibition, which is the Mussorgsky music set for this ensemble. It's pretty strange. And there's a live at the Montreux Jazz Festival. Sagenhoft is my favorite album. I believe all of the albums are live already. Sagenhoft starts with a song called Zarathustra's Revenge, or Reincarnation's Revenge. Zarathustra's Reincarnation, which is a play on also Sprach Zarathustra, also known as the music from 2001. The arrangements are great. It takes full advantage of this huge horn section of, basically low pitched instruments, but the euphonium trombonists, they got some high range. They hit some killer stuff. There's killer solos by the trombones, euphoniums, and tubas, probably almost entirely John Sass. There's a couple of tracks that's just him by himself, a cappella, just one tuba. Highly entertaining music. On one album, there's a version of Helter Skelter by the Beatles. Go figure. Really good stuff. I really like this album a lot. It's highly entertaining. There's a female vocalist. There's a male vocalist on some of the other albums, not on Sagenhoft. Some really good stuff. Highly recommend it. So check that out if you get a chance. It's really good. Okay, the next album is kind of the exception to this little list. It's not a tuba-oriented band, but it's got one of the most killer tuba solos I've ever heard. This is by Dave Bargeron, and this is on Blood, Sweat, and Tears live. So Dave Bargeron also doubles on trombone, and that's what he mostly plays in the band. You may be familiar with Go Down Gamblin', the studio recording, had a little tuba break about 4 bars long, not very long at all, but just starts and burns its way right through. It's just like, what the heck was that? This is not on that song. This song is on the track And When I Die. It starts out with a bunch of low notes from Bargeron, and then it jumps into this just funky improv sounding solo. And it goes on, and then the rhythm section joins in, and then the horn section joins in, and then it just goes and goes and goes, and then the band stops, and Bargeron does a little cadenza, but suddenly he plays this blues lick that brings it from upper middle register and just drops it down, and the band hits in, and they start another song that's a blues song called In My Little Country Shack, I believe. Astonishing. One of my favorite tuba solos of all time. It's just amazing. And the whole album's really good. It's Blood, Sweat, and Tears, just killer band. And this was kind of close to their peak. So really good stuff. Highly recommend. Okay. The next album I'm going to talk about is by a group called the Tubas Unlimited. And the album's called Magic Tubas. This is kind of a strange album for me. It's mostly like the Tennessee Tech Tuba Ensemble guys, run by R. Winston Morris. Now, most of the stuff that I listen to from Mr. Morris, Dr. Morris, I imagine, kind of leaves me cold. The playing is so precise. I mean, his jazz stuff, that he's involved with. The playing is so precise and so dead on. It leaves me a little cold. I understand there's different opinions out there, and you may enjoy it. And if anybody in the group's listening, I apologize, but that's just how I feel. That being said, this album is basically a tribute to a fellow named Gene Pearling. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. And The Voices Unlimited, which was an a cappella group. And these are pretty much his arrangements for voices done on tubas. And this is where the impeccable playing comes in. It is played impeccably. It's beautiful sounding. It's not high energy, but it sounds great. And you really should check it out. All right. So earlier I mentioned Taj Mahal. The album is called The Real Thing. And I don't know how it happened, but it's the beginning of Howard Johnson's group, Gravity. He put together a quartet to play for Taj Mahal on a tour. And I haven't dipped into the album very far yet. It's quite old. I believe it's from the early 70s, if not a little earlier. But the tracks I've heard have been great. It's a live recording. It's a little rough around the edges, but you really do get the idea. It's pretty cool stuff. And definitely a classic. When often when you tell people that you play tuba, they think the oompa stuff and, all the cliches. But then they also say, oh, wasn't there some blues album by somebody? This is it. It's The Real Thing by Taj Mahal. So it's a classic. So I I probably couldn't have not mentioned it. So there that is. Okay. And then the last band I want to talk about, I'm not talking about, well, I mean, it's kind of a tuba-centric band, but it's the New Orleans Nightcrawlers. Any of their albums are really good. I know Matt Perrine, the tuba player and one of the founders of the band, sousaphone player. Highly, highly skilled tuba player. He also plays with Bonarama. This band is it's like high level New Orleans street band music. They seldom play live because it's a bunch of really busy musicians, but they get together every so often and record an album. Their latest one, called Atmosphere, won a Grammy for Best Regional Roots Album. And I don't know where anything like that is going to come from other than New Orleans. But there it is. But any of their albums are really good. It comes lots of tuba goodies in there. Matt holds down the bottom end super well, very melodic, very nimble player with a really wonderful range. All of it done on sousaphone, which is pretty cool. So check out any of the New Orleans Nightcrawlers stuff. It's probably, top level New Orleans street band kind of stuff, and well worth listening to that. Yeah, definitely check that stuff out. Okay, well, that wraps it up. 7 great tuba-oriented albums or bands that you can find on Spotify, and they're not classical music. There's plenty of tuba stuff that's classical out there. So if you have a favorite album that I didn't cover, let me know down in the comments. That'd be great. I'm always looking for more music to listen to. And hopefully I turned you on to something new or two. That would be really cool. So that concludes for now. Please hit like and subscribe if you would, please. And go ahead and share. Do you have a tuba player? You want to turn them on to some more music? Share this video over. Maybe somebody will appreciate the information. And leave a comment. That'd be great. I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, have a good one. See you soon.